It's time for the Live from Lacrosse News with your hosts, Sam Schiltz and Taylor Godine.
Welcome to Live from Lacrosse News. I'm Sam Schiltz.
And I'm Taylor Godine. Thanks for joining us. With Pennsylvania, one of many states to give out its golden ticket of electors, it looks like Grandpa Joe will finally be getting out of bed to save us all from this 4-year-long Willy Wonka in the tunnel type nightmare.
Unfortunately, he danced a little too hard in celebration with his dog Major and fractured his foot. Meanwhile, President Trump, while celebrating with his dog Rudy Giuliani, ended up fracturing an entire country.
Closer to home, the biggest local race in the election fell in Wisconsin's 3rd Congressional District. 24-year political veteran and stepdad robot prototype Ron Kind won another term in the House, while the magical painting of a political career in his attic aged yet another 2 years.
This time, Kind faced a tough race against former Navy SEAL Derek Van Orden, seen here undressing your Nana with his eyes. Van Orden ran on a tough law and order message and a television campaign saying, "Let's put a SEAL in Congress." However, since he was not able to get that job, Van Orden is now running with his backup plan of "Let's put a SEAL in seasonal retail."
Van Orden came under fire when it was discovered in a 2015 book he wrote that he boasted about exposing a man's genitals to 2 unsuspecting female officers. Which, come on, really? Who thinks that that's okay, let alone funny to— oh, look at this guy's balls!
Yeah, motherfucker, look at those, we got you! Ha! We should be in Congress, we're so fucking awesome, yeah!
When you Google Derek Van Orden, his official title given is actor, which is perfect because he's been pretending he should be in Congress this whole year.
I just gotta ask, what is with that notion these days? Every year it seems like it's less and less appealing to have someone who is actually an experienced lawmaker hold these positions, and instead we just send like Johnny Huge Dong to Washington to shake things up. Why would we want that? That's like saying we need to hire a bartender and then instead hiring this aggravated kangaroo that stole a pack of Foster's beer. Sure, that will definitely shake things up, but overall, CrossFit Hops here doesn't actually have the experience needed to do the job well. He's gonna spill your martinis, is what I'm saying.
The 32nd Senate district race was close yet again, coming down to less than 600 votes. Candidates ran to fill the seat left by Jennifer Schilling, who stepped down suddenly in May, presumably tired from carrying the entire Wisconsin Democratic Party on her back, like Sam lugging a half-dead Frodo to the base of Mount Doom.
The seat was won by Democrat Brad Pfaff, perhaps best known for being Governor Evers' rejected pick for state agriculture secretary, and for being incapable of taking a picture where he doesn't look like a goober.
Now that we officially have a new state senator, we'd like to educate you on him in a little segment we call Know Your Senator.
Did you know Brad Pfaff grew up on a farm in La Crosse County?
Did you know Brad Pfaff was district staff for Ron Kind for 12 years?
Did you know Brad Pfaff invented milk toast?
Did you know Brad Pfaff's aura is the color beige?
The color beige actually told Brad Pfaff it was too busy for his model train party, when really it wasn't.
Did you know Brad Pfaff can tell you where to get raw milk if you promise not to be a fucking narc about it?
Did you know that Brad Pfaff has never seen a beaver that he didn't momentarily mistake for his dad?
Did you know Brad Pfaff is worried you're mad at him right now?
Did you know that Brad Pfaff just wants Congressman Ron Kind, just once, to look at this guy's balls?
Oh yeah, you dumb shit, ha! We got you again! We made you look twice, which makes us twice as awesome and twice as manly! Fuck yeah!
On the Republican side, the GOP executed a signature green environmental initiative by recycling Dan Kapanke for the 4th time in a row. If they're able to do it a 5th time, we're told they'll start selling him at the People's Food Co-op right next to the salt lambs and snake oils.
Kapanke, pictured here just before he was wished to life in a Stephen King novel, is best known for owning the La Crosse Loggers, as evidenced by the fact that his skin is 100% catcher's mitt.
Kapanke held the position as state senator for 7 years, was ousted in the recall elections, and hasn't stopped trying to get that sweet-ass Capitol parking space since. He's lost to Jennifer Schilling twice, Ron Kind once, and now to Brad, "Oh no, I left my retainer on my lunch tray," Pfaff.
Honestly, Dan, it's time to hang up the hat, bud. The last time you held office, I couldn't legally drink. But no hard feelings or anything. You know, when this is all over, I look forward to seeing you at a Loggers game, where I'll buy a spotted cow from you and hope that you don't touch my back while showing me to my seat.
La Crosse Mayor Tim Kabat announced he will not seek another term this spring, hoping to focus on other opportunities, which we can only assume is learning to surf his own hair.
As of this filming, 3 others have already come forward in a bid for mayor, including Jessica Olson and Martin Gall, who are both elected members of the city council, and restaurant owner Greg Salarius. But You know who really should run for mayor? That's right, it's Holman Fire Chief and living romance novel cover Buck Manley.
Buck Manley, for those of you who don't know, is the very real name of Holman's fire department chief and not the name of a line of Frontier survival products you can buy at 3 a.m. for 6 easy payments of $99.95.
Buck Manley has the experience to be mayor of La Crosse because he's been mayor of dead ass for over 30 years.
Buck Manley doesn't so much hold public office as he caresses it gently after railing it senseless.
Buck Manley hasn't been elected mayor yet, but he has been voted most likely to cause wet chair.
Buck Manley is not allowed within 100 feet of a polling location because his face violates voter seduction laws.
Buck Manley doesn't yet have the hundreds of signatures needed to run, but hundreds of boobs do have his signature.
Seriously, we could go all day.
And Buck Manley could go all night.
After decades of calls for its removal, the Chief Hiawatha statue in Riverside Park has finally been taken down to be moved to private property. This transition was handled with the utmost care, wrapping the statue in cloth made out of only the finest smallpox viruses. As this removal debate took place, most of the major news outlets posed some version of the question, is this offensive or should this be taken down?
Which is batshit, considering that 90% of the population around here is white. That's like wondering if your neighbor should stop downing a handle of whiskey and throwing eggs at your dog, and then posing that question to the cat. Like, sure, he's probably got some thoughts, but in the grand scheme of things, what's happening really has fuck all to do with his opinion.
Committees in the near future will decide on a replacement statue that will better represent La Crosse as a whole. Currently, frontrunners are either a discarded slice of Polito's Pizza, a college student giving everyone COVID-19, or this guy's balls! Whoa!
Oh shit! Fuck this motherfucker! We got you a third time! Is your name the Chicago Bears? Cause you just got sacked!
Oktoberfest 2020 fell victim to the pandemic's cancellations. However, some Ride or Die festers still celebrated on their own with some changes to the traditional songs, namely the last line of Ein Prosit, which this year was Ein Prosit, der Gemütlich.
Wisconsin continues to battle a critical surge in COVID cases heading into the holidays, using the same methods that the Trump campaign uses against reality, pretending it doesn't exist.
Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers seen here going, what's this? What's this? There's COVID everywhere. What's this? What's this? We've got no time to spare. Governor Evers, with advice from the state health department, has issued more than 12 emergency orders related to COVID mitigation alone. Meanwhile, the Wisconsin legislature has passed a grand total of 0 bills since April, and some members led initiatives to block and even strike down the very orders helping to slow the spread of the virus.
By swiping down safety measures to protect entities like the Tavern League at the expense of thousands of lives, the Wisconsin GOP is starting to sound like a reverse Spock from that, second Star Wars movie or whatever. The needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many. Live for 2 weeks and prosper. Now, before we go any further, yeah, I can already hear you screaming at your TV that I said the wrong thing. Okay, nerds, yeah, I know it's not from Star Wars. It's Lord of the Rings. Dorks.
Just last month, the governor met for the first time in 7 months with the Wisconsin Assembly Speaker and character from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, reimagined by Ayn Rand, Robin Vos. They finally met to discuss the state's plan going forward. The governor presented a package of 15 bills, while Vos, in a press conference before that meeting, admitted that GOP leaders still hadn't drafted any new legislation. That has to be frustrating for Evers. Imagine being part of a group presentation in school, and after months, you come back with dozens of fleshed out ideas on paper ready to go, but all the other members of your group come back like, what project that was due today? Whatever, nerd. I'm gonna go back to evicting poor people. Let me know how that all turns out. Except in that hypothetical, you'll just get a failing grade, but in the real world, people die.
Now, we should point out that shortly before we filmed this, the Assembly Republicans actually did release a draft of their plan, and it's very helpful if you happen to be the coronavirus. Among other things, their plan would require state workers and teachers to go back to the office immediately next year, with districts who don't comply losing their state funding. School boards would have to approve virtual learning by 2/3 majority every 2 weeks. And they want the Republican-led budget office to have absolute final say on several aspects of the COVID battle, including how the vaccine is eventually distributed.
Worst of all, the plan would restrict and in some cases outright ban local health authorities from limiting large indoor gatherings. Capacities could only be limited at a business if that limitation applies to all types of businesses, which is a little bit like saying if you know your hands got dirty, you're only allowed to wash them if you strip down and shower fully. Otherwise, you're unfairly targeting those hands with your soapy overreach.
Both the governor's plan and the GOP's plan are very unlikely to come into law, and the impasse between the two of them is a huge problem. Hospitals are overflowing, and nearly 3,500 people have died from COVID in Wisconsin. The sad part is that number is likely a lot higher by the time you are watching this, because just recently we had a ton of people ignore health experts and decide to leave their homes to go and eat dry garbage bird with their families and yell at their aunt and uncles about the election.
To give you some perspective, 2,997 people died in the attacks on September 11th, 2001. In response to that, the government ramped up security at airports and created an entirely new federal agency to combat terrorism. Now, there are a whole host of issues dealing with those things on their own, which we don't have time to get to tonight, but there was, at the very least, a coordinated response. Here, we've had just over 500 more people die than 9/11 just in Wisconsin from this crisis alone. And two sides of our government here didn't even talk to each other for 7 fucking months.
And look, there is a ton of blame to go around here. The universities and school districts stupidly brought back students for in-person classes, which led to huge spikes that we are still reeling from. Bar owners hurting from the shutdown obliged a carefree college population, while at the same time jumping onto interviews with health departments to vastly overstate just how safe they were being.
And by the way, it isn't just the bars and the college kids' fault. It isn't even entirely the Wisconsin GOP's fault. For every COVID conspiracy theorist in some rural nowhere area calling the whole thing a hoax, there's plenty of so-called educated liberals who pushed ahead with family and social gatherings this fall anyway, while making excuses for it the whole goddamn time.
It may hurt your pride, but deep down, we all know someone who has been calling upon everybody to take this pandemic seriously, while not really taking it seriously themselves. Hell, we almost filmed this segment together with the rest of the cast live in one room. Nobody is perfect in this, and we are all losing some of the resolve we desperately need to beat this pandemic.
That's what makes our government's response to a crisis so critical. They are supposed to be the ones that guide us to have more resolve. They are supposed to be driving policy that shields us from backsliding on the fight against COVID, not forcing us headfirst into a disaster out of pure spite.
If bars and restaurants and other businesses didn't have to worry about whether they would have the money needed to survive, then they might be able to actually shut down, or at least only offer carry-out service for as long as needed. But they can't, because that money isn't there.
The government is one of the few entities left here that could have any real effect on turning this around while we wait for the vaccine to be widely available. And yet, as of this filming, no second and desperately necessary stimulus has come from the federal government, and the state is deadlocked in a fight between a man desperately trying to do everything himself and his legislature trying to prevent anyone from doing anything at all. We all, from those following all of the rules to those who caved and made poor choices, are caught in the middle of this watching the death toll climb. We're going to be there a lot longer unless we can band together as a state and say in one unified voice, look at this guy's balls.
Oh, fuck you fucking dango fuckers, we did it again. Fuck, you thought we were gonna end on a fucking serious note? Fuck you, look at those balls, fuck!
But to leave you on a positive note, finally tonight, what could be more 2020 sounding than a pair of gas station underwear? That's right. For a whopping 35 goddamn American dollars, you too can have your very own his or her pair of Quick Trip branded panties and boxers. And honestly, being able to buy underwear at a Quick Trip is great news for people who eat most of their meals at a Quick Trip. You're gonna need another pair. Stat.
These undergarments come in a variety of sizes, provided those sizes all begin with a couple of X's in front of them. They are not edible underwear, to which most Quick Trip regulars said, challenge accepted. I eat at Quick Trip. Edible was never a deal breaker.
And with Christmas just days away, these are honestly the perfect gift for someone who wants to make a statement in the bedroom. A statement like,
I can't get hard unless I roll it under a lamp for 6 hours first, or
we're gonna do ATM. And there's no fees this time. Or,
Hey baby, this Mega Buddy's on sale for $1. Or,
well, if you would have called ahead, I would have had this ready for you. Or,
I can't tonight, I'm saving myself for diabetes.
from Live from La Crosse News, I'm Taylor Godine.
And I'm Sam Schultz. Stay safe and happy holidays.